In Yusuke's climb to the highest powers in Yu Yu Hakusho, Hiei is on the heels of him at almost every point in the series, and sometimes he's far above that level, to the point where he even becomes a Class S demon. But how would a Class S demon fare in the shinobi world of Naruto? My friend Gohan wanted me to answer this question, and he sent me quite a lot of motivation to answer it, so that's what this video is going to be about. If you're a fan of this type of video, be sure to leave a like on it, and I'd appreciate if you subscribe to the channel as well. Hiei at the beginning of Yu Yu Hakusho is not really a serious threat at all. At this point in the series, he's just a lowly D-class demon, and he has very standard hacks like paralysis he can cast through his evil eye, and then an amplified version that he can cast when transformed that utilizes all of his demon eyes. At this point in the series, even though Yusuke had powered up to fight Hiei, just days before this, he was wondering how he could beat a guy who could snap a tree in half. Even continuing past this arc, Yusuke and Suzaku only scaled to about large building, and that pales in comparison even to Sasuke's fireball during the bell test with Kakashi, which is around city block level, and this is the literal earliest version of Sasuke that we have to work with. Kakashi is much stronger than even that, so I'm basically saying Hiei is about the level of a Genin. Taking him out would be a D or C rank mission for Team 7. It doesn't help that by this point Hiei has no real speed scaling either, that's aside from just being vaguely superhuman. Hiei does pick up a bit of solid speed scaling in the next arc against Sairyu, but just how fast he is depends on whether you talk about the anime or the manga, since the anime adds quite a bit of filler to this to turn this into somewhat of a fight and make Sairyu just a bit more impressive in the speed department, where he doesn't really have a problem reacting to Hiei's travel speed, but just like in the manga, he still can't keep up with his combat speed. After beating Byaku, Yusuke and his team advance to the next beast in the castle, Sairyu, and after his distasteful kill of a teammate, even Hiei is somewhat upset by the beast's actions and offers to fight in Yusuke's stead. This is a notable change in character as commented by Kurama, and the change in mental state also leads Kurama to say that Hiei has never been more powerful than the moment he powered up to fight Sairyu. That means stronger than the evil eye transformation, and this will be a common theme throughout the video. Hiei is a bit of a prodigy, so his power increases greatly to the point where he is always on par with or sometimes even stronger than Yusuke, like I mentioned earlier. That sentiment rings true here, as after Hiei completely blitzes Sairyu with 16 slashes, Yusuke says that he could only keep up with about 8 slashes or 15 if you use the anime, but I'm gonna be honest, it just seems like Hiei might be a bit slower in the anime's continuity. Nonetheless, Hiei picks up decent speed scaling with this one, going from vaguely superhuman to Mach 39 at the high end and Mach 29 at the low end, but hypersonic either way. This level of speed can actually carry you pretty far when it comes to the Genin characters. Taking the fight with Dosu and Sound Ninja into account, Hiei would be faster than even first Gate Lee, at least while he's weighted. Gate unweighted Lee is a bit of a different animal. When it comes to this version of Lee, which has his weights on but still used the first gate, he's arguably not even Mach 5. When fighting with Lee, Dosu tells him that his moves might be fast, but theirs are supersonic, which is obviously implying that their sound-based attacks are faster than Lee. Supersonic is just faster than Mach 1, but below Mach 5, at least when it comes to real-world usage of the terms. If you go to Versus Battle Wiki, then they'd say anything over Mach 2.5 is Supersonic Plus, but obviously Dosu hasn't read the Versus Battle Wiki, so we'll just say his attacks cap out at Mach 5, and that's faster than what Lee can do. Some people would point to the panel of Naruto saying, "Start your engines, Mach 5" at the beginning of the Chunin exams, but I think it's pretty clear Naruto isn't speaking literally here, and it's just saying he's about to go fast to get to his mission quicker. But if that's not enough for you, the Forest of Death is about 20 kilometers wide. Even assuming Naruto had to run that entire length to get to the middle, which he shouldn't have, he should have to run less than half of that, it should only take him about 12 seconds to get there. We're shown clearly that Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and Kabuto start traveling to get near the tower during the day and end up near it at night. That is both in the anime and manga, and there's not a sunset in the world that happens in 12 seconds. It usually takes somewhere between 2 to 4 minutes. That's just to say, Hiei has a really good speed feat at this point in the series when it comes to the comparison with the lower tier characters. He's still nowhere near the Jonin level where Kakashi and other monsters are. Applying that same large building level of AP though, and Hiei quickly becomes fodder for the verse once again, even still compared to the little fireball calc Sasuke outputted during the bell test. Amplified versions of these characters in the Chunin exams also beat Hiei up kinda badly. Sasuke's acquisition of the curse mark in Chidori, Naruto's learning the summoning jutsu and how to use Kurama's chakra, and Rock Lee debuting higher forms of the gates while removing his weights all far surpass Hiei's level here, since everyone can once again be tied back to Lee. I'll just scale him based off of the fact that he's able to bypass Gaara's sand, which can react to point blank explosions, putting it at Mach 58. Lee would be vaguely above that speed without even factoring in how much faster the gates would make him. Even just accounting for a 2 times increase in speed across all 5 gates, Lee would easily surpass Mach 116, and Sasuke should at least get to around that speed with his Chidori based on Lee's comments about him, while the Kurama influenced Naruto and Neji should just be at about Lee's weightless speed, if not even a bit higher, still putting them far past Hiei. With the Gentle Fist, Gamabunta, Chidori, or 5 gates, Sasuke, Naruto, Neji, and Lee should all be able to make short work of Hiei, along with all the other characters stronger than them like Kakashi and the Saiyan, etc, etc. Hiei should be able to beat up any Genin aside from these characters though that I just named, as none of them can even keep up with the characters I listed. So Sakura, Ino, Hinata, Kiba, they would all get beat up. When we step into the Dark Tournament arc, things heat up for Hiei figuratively and literally. Most of his progression, or at least the big leaps, are going to be based on his mastery of the Dark Dragon. In his debut, Hiei uses the technique to vaporize and incinerate Zero, who himself is a fire user. Although doing this was at the cost of Hiei's right arm, after being motivated seeing the type of power Toguro was capable of by viewing the aftermath of his battle with Genkai, Hiei moves to master the Black Dragon against Bui, a lower B-class demon. Not only does Hiei master the Black Flames, but he also goes even further beyond it in this fight, absorbing the Black Dragon itself, which increases his abilities to the utmost. This is all progress that was mostly made within the Dark Tournament, but from just the beginning of the story as a D-class demon to now a mid B-class demon, Hiei made all that progress in just 6 months. And for reference, Toguro is an upper B-class demon, so Hiei is approaching even that level of power. That and the feat he performed during his last fight in the Dark Tournament should put him at large town level on the low end and small city level on the higher end in terms of AP. His speed should also have increased drastically, but I don't have a number to assign to it, at least not for this arc. If you're generous and apply a 2 times increase in speed, which doesn't seem crazy at all, he's at least Mach 58 at the low end and Mach 78 at the high end. And that's just going off his speed from fighting Sairyu, which he should have gotten stronger before this last increase as well. So I think 2 times is fine to apply to this advanced Hiei. Now, how far does his current level, get him in Naruto? Sadly, he still won't be able to get past either Sasuke or Rock Lee, and while you can say he either matches or surpasses Neji or Naruto in speed, Naruto still has Bunta, and Neji still has the rotation where he doesn't have to directly fight Hiei. So unfortunately, even with a massive jump in power, Hiei doesn't really move in terms of where he's quantifiably at. The next arc is where things kick up for Hiei, at least in terms of power, that being Chapter Black. Although he was nerfed when it happened, Hiei was able to go blow for blow with an enraged Yusuke and essentially act as a punching bag for him just on a whim. And as a reminder, Hiei was just a middle B-class demon just a little bit ago. Yusuke had done battle with and overcome upper B-class demon Toguro by this point and likely gotten even stronger. After Yusuke's fight with Sensui, both Kurama and Hiei are stated to go back to their A-class demon levels of power again, and A-class demons far surpass B-class demons to the point where it would have been safer for a horde of B-class demons to come to Earth as opposed to just one A or S-class demon. For a good gauge here, in some people's eyes, we can look at Koenma's father Enma. It's important to note that the spirit world cannot handle S-class demons before I go over this. Enma, in his outrage over the 3 treasures being stolen, is said to hypothetically make the lower world, or in this case, Earth, feel his wrath. This was going to get so bad that Mount Fuji might have even erupted. In order for that to happen, you'd need a pretty substantial earthquake. I found this old WordPress page that basically says the last time Mount Fuji erupted was 1707 from an earthquake that registered with a magnitude of 8.6. It took 49 days for Mount Fuji to erupt under those circumstances, and applying that same standard here to Enma, and you'd have a guy that can generate mountain levels of energy. So on the lower end of it, but it's still mountain level. And since the spirit world can't handle S-class demons, that would make Enma A-class at best in power, so he should at least scale in the same realm as Hiei. It is worth mentioning that Hiei does absorb yet another black dragon after reaching his A-class level, which, like I said earlier, is stated to amplify him to the utmost. So after all that, where would Hiei fit in the Naruto universe? At least when it comes to quantifiable power output, Hiei is losing out to all the Naruto characters that are around this tier. Sage Naruto, Curse Mark II Sasuke, Six Tails Naruto, and Nagato all have feats ranging from mountain to large mountain, and even on the lower end, which is Nagato's Rainmaker Jutsu, he outclasses Hiei by over double the power output at around 445 megatons of energy. The people directly below Hiei, however, like beginning of Shippuden Gaara, who's only around city level, can't keep up with Hiei in terms of power output. With everything said and done, we can finally take a look at Hiei during his peak and take a look at the Three Kings arc. During the massive training arc everyone participated in, Hiei had already crossed the threshold to being an S-class demon. Only 6 months in and no A-class demon could give him a challenge anymore, and by the time a year had elapsed, he was already yet again about equal to Yusuke. Building off of the mountain level that was established earlier, everyone should now be far superior to Enma, who was at best a class A in power. Compare him to someone like Hokushin, who is a lower tier class S demon with an offensive power level of 5,900. Someone like Mokuro, for example, is over 39 times stronger than that S-class demon, who would scale over Enma's feat, so just using it as a bare minimum, Mokuro is island level. On the lower end of island level at that, it'd be around 6.6 gigatons of energy. I should mention there is a calc that puts these characters quite a bit higher due to Enma's earthquake and Sensui's respectively, scaling them to multi-continental. I disagree with those for a few reasons, but other than that, good support for these characters being even higher is in the statement Genkai makes to Yusuke after the chapter Black Saga, wherein she says if Yusuke were to get tired of the world and want to destroy it all, there is nothing anyone would be able to do about it. She goes on to say everyone has things they can destroy depending on their mood, a toy, a pet, or even an entire country. And Yusuke is bigger or on a larger scale than most people. This is fairly consistent as well. Yusuke at this point is far above the S-class threshold, and an S-class demon is just defined as one that the spirit world cannot deal with, and he's far into that class. Let's walk this back just a bit to Sensui, and specifically a statement he says here, claiming that he can't fight in the human world even at half power because he starts to affect the planet even at this lower level that he's at. Yusuke tells him that it should be fine and he should just go ahead and destroy the planet anyway, since that's what he wants to do. Sensui doesn't directly confirm he could, but his response and where the story goes after this definitely lead to the idea that he can, and let me explain why. Sensui calls Yusuke arrogant for telling him to destroy the planet, and says he doesn't hate all life on Earth, just humans. And from a story perspective, The power shift definitely supports Earth no longer being suitable for this level of power. Sensui is immediately thrust into the demon realm where he can fight even harder, and that's where him and Yusuke's battle takes place, which is between two S-class demon levels of power, and it's called an unparalleled battle. This is sort of backed up by Genkai's statement earlier as well, where she says some people could destroy a country and Yusuke exists on a much bigger scale than even that, which is following her saying that if Yusuke got sick of the world and everything in it, he could just destroy it and there's nothing that could stop him. Subsequently, all the fighting after this point would take place in the demon world. There is literally no more fighting on Earth after the rest of the cast grows to this Class S level. So when you take all that into account, it makes sense why Yusuke says that Sensui could just totally destroy the Earth if he released all of his power. It's been a while since I've talked about the character I'm literally scaling here, but since Hiei is about equal to Yusuke like I said earlier, and this is after they all trained for a year, he should be far above the level Sensui was at, that literally just existing at full power could crush the planet. He also has the black dragon he can use to go even further beyond this if he wants to yet again. In terms of speed, there are no real upgrades being made still. You'd have to try to make some all stats are equal argument and calc stack your way to a good speed scale, but I don't believe that, so I'm not going to even bother. The only thing I could find on the internet that's even somewhat valid in this area, just to make sure I wasn't tripping, are a couple of calcs that get Yusuke into the low Mach 100s, but that's not even at the level of anyone past the first Kakashi we literally ever see, so I don't think there's too much of a point in bringing it up. But when you get into the planetary ranges, you start talking about surpassing virtually anybody before the 6th pass tier. I kid you not, it is much easier to prove that any of the higher tiers of Naruto are solar system level or higher than it is to say that they are just planetary. Let me go through some of these things really quickly. Obito says the sword of Nunoboku is stated to have shaped the world, but this isn't true. We know Hagoromo did not create the world. Biju bombs are stated to be planetary. This isn't true either. There are 3 statements for this one. This page that says the Biju bomb shatters Earth only says that in the context of the land, as in breaking pieces of the Earth. Since the word he used here is daichi, like the Biju bomb blowing up mountains, is it shattering some of the Earth. The one on the top left just says that it shakes the heavens and the earth. This scan says the same thing as the first one. It's saying daichi as in the land, not the actual earth exploding. The statement that I know everyone has seen, that Kurama can turn the world to ash, I think is very clearly in reference to Kurama destroying life on Earth, not blowing up the planet. If you want something that supports that, I want everyone to remember that this is a header for a paragraph. The paragraph itself talks about how Kurama would appear during crucial periods and destroy everything in sight. There is a calc for KCM2 Naruto being planetary based on it taking 100 shinobi to blow up the moon. And even though I have issues with it, this is definitely the best way to actually get Naruto characters there. So if you want to be somewhat pedantic, I guess you could say Hiei would cap out somewhere in the KCM2 ranges of power, but his speed is just nowhere near this level, sadly. However, if you throw him in part 1 Naruto, he couldn't really hit the higher tiers because of their speed, but only Itachi would be able to put him down, and that's just with Genjutsu.